Omori is a game that is so childlike and dreamlike in a good way. The colors of the world are so welcoming and inviting, the characters are all lovable, and you instantly feel a sense of comfort flooding over you when you're around them. You go on adventures, you play hide and seek, you convince a bully to give your friend back, and by convince I mean beat the crap out of him, and eventually you go to one of your friends Basil's house just to have fun and talk about life. Through a scuffle between friends, some photos fall on the floor, and forgiving of the accident, Basil picks it up and recognizes something hauntingly familiar about it. Oh my god. Mari, she's... You wake up in the middle of the night to an empty house all alone. You try to fall back asleep, but you're hungry. You want something to eat. Upon exiting your room, there's an eerie red glow coming from the window. Your gaze fixes towards the stairs, and upon going down the stairs, distorted impossibly long arms reach out from the bottom of them. The bottom of hell. And then suddenly a giant grotesque hand appears behind you, and while running for your life, you are forced to look at this creature, know this being, and fight for your life. Nothing you do works, and it looks at you, a creepy, terrifying smile across its face. The hands try to grab you. You desperately try to run. Nothing works. And so you try to comprehend this creature and survive. Hit after hit, you feel the hope that you could walk away from this fight alive, feeling ever more distant than when you first encountered this thing. You begin to feel yourself tumble into madness. And then you reach the bottom of the staircase. The stairs are much shorter. There is no sign of what you just faced, and very quickly you begin to realize what you just encountered was not real. The sight you saw came from your mind. The horrifying figure laying before you was simply the darkness that engulfed you. You go back to sleep. What would you consider more frightening? Reality itself changing, or your grasp on reality shifting? That might be a weird question to ask, so let me try and explain it. Would you fear the external circumstances around you, the world itself changing in a frightening way, or would you fear your grip on reality slipping in a way that haunts only you? I have a feeling there are people that would respond differently to both of these. Some would say the world itself is changing around them would be more frightening because everyone is suffering, but others might think differently. They would rather not be alone in the horror they are experiencing, and so the fact that they are is truly terrifying. I don't know which one of these ideas you find scarier, so maybe this doesn't exactly hit home to you. What is scary to people depends on the person. The Resident Evil games don't scare me all too much, but they could for you. I wouldn't classify Omori as strictly a horror game, but for you, it could be. However, there is one game I want to talk about today that does scare me. One that unsettles me beyond playing the game in the moment. Sometimes when the game scares me the most is when I'm alone in my room at night, staring at the ceiling. One that makes me feel like I'm almost dreaming even though I am very much still awake. And one that a good number of people wouldn't exactly classify as scary. It's Silent Hill 2. Look, okay, I know I talked about this game last year as well, and this is kinda cheating in terms of originality, and just shut up. However, when I made that video last year on Saturday Horror, I didn't finish the game yet. In fact, it took me a while to finish Silent Hill 2, not just because I got sad because some elements were in fact sad, but because Silent Hill 2 was absolutely terrifying in many ways for me. It had me think about it for hours after playing. It made me look at normal things such as fog and say, "Oh my god, please no, I don't want to find a dead why." It made me uneasy every time I heard any piece of the soundtrack, and ever since I finished it about a month back, I've been wanting to talk about not just how it scared me, but how it also made me feel like I was stuck in a dream I couldn't wake up from. that my grasp on reality, that James's grasp on reality was slipping ever more while playing it. And so today, I don't want to talk about the legacy of Silent Hill, I don't want to talk about Soma and why my brain hurts when I try to think about things such as what is the meaning of life. I want to talk about Silent Hill 2 and how it makes you feel like your mental state is slipping. Silent Hill 2 follows the character you embody, a man named James Sunderland, who, after receiving a letter from his wife Mary, is called to Silent Hill to find her there. Thing is, she's been dead for 3 years now, meaning that this letter is impossible. Either this is an imposter that is trying to meet us, or she really is there somehow. And upon entering the town, we can see that something is very clearly wrong with it. There are deformed monsters everywhere, the city is abandoned, and the few people you do come across are often corpses who have been torn to pieces by the monsters that walk the streets of Silent Hill. Eventually, you find an apartment complex, and inside you find what you come to expect from survival horror games. Monsters are lurking the halls, you get your hands on your very first gun, you explore each room looking for supplies and hints to solve a puzzle that's probably close, and you walk long distance corridors attempting to evade the hurdles thrown at you, and it's all very in line with survival horror games, and there's nothing really all too special about it. I am my man and I am fearless, and eventually while you are uncomfortable, you begin to feel more safe and capable to face anything. What in God's name is that? The moment I found this dude here, it terrified me. He doesn't attack you, he doesn't jump scare you, he doesn't do anything but stand there and observe you as you observe him. He's covered in blood, his muscular physique making it look like he could pick you up and suffocate you with one hand. His head is covered by a pyramid. Whatever bizarre creature this is in this apartment complex. And when you finally move on to the next room and come back, he's gone. Whatever that was is gone. Did he move on? Was he uninterested? Was he even real? These apartment complexes terrified me, not because of the few monsters in these corridors or the darkness surrounding me, but because there was something in these halls that did not look friendly, that did not look like it should exist in this world. You begin to find the creature's victims, one scream leading you to find a person, or rather the mess of what was a person. You find it not doing very friendly things with the other monsters. You begin to be on edge every single hallway you walk down, every single door you open. This is what terrified me when I first played Silent Hill 2. It is the threat that something may be lurking anywhere. That something is looking for a way to find and reach you. James finds 3 people in these apartments. Eddie, who is not in the best state and swears he didn't kill a man who was in the same room. Laura, a little girl who makes the game 20 minutes longer. You're an orphan for a reason! And Angela, a girl James met in the graveyard outside of the town, lying down looking at a knife, thinking about doing something drastic. James comforts Eddie and believes him and helps Angela reconsider her options. And as we roam these halls, slowly open these doors, hear movement and unsettling things in one room just to find it empty, we feel more on edge. It's like the anticipation of a jump scare that never happens. And it's like that for a grand total of 2 hours. We do eventually fight that creature, or at least attempt to, until it gets bored and moves on, meaning that it is still alive and it is still out there waiting. This whole section put the fear of God in me, by the way. Okay, so I want to briefly look at the previous 2 hours of gameplay that I just touched on. These apartment complexes are not scary because of the frightening things you find in it, although I do admit that plays a part in it. It is because there is the threat that one of those frightening things could be anywhere. However, even then, it isn't. This isn't the Resident Evil 2 remake where Mr. X chases you down through the whole game. This is a game where certain rooms have certain horrors, where certain things need to be triggered for other moments to happen. Everything is scheduled and intentional, but it's the atmosphere foreboding as it is terrifying, along with the few horrifying things you encounter that add to the level of fear you feel. And sure, the things here are bizarre and weird and absolutely terrifying, but at this point you are still okay. And James is still sane, and at this point you're not really questioning anyone's mental state at the moment, excluding Angela. However, when that starts to change is when you meet Maria. When we first meet Maria, she's alone and at first simply asks you to accompany her so she doesn't get killed in this hostile town. However, she looks nearly identical to Mary according to James, and you know what? He's right. She seems eerily similar, but all that aside, she seems normal. And for the first hour you spend with her, she seems fine and acts like a normal person. She reacts like a human being would. She gets scared, she gets angry, she gets clingy. But why is she here? Who is she here to find? What reason is she here for? We learn she doesn't like bowling, that she works at a bar in the town called Heaven's Night, and okay, this person does have a story. She is just as much of a person as the rest of the people in this town, and that's pretty comforting to learn. I can imagine some players getting attached to Maria because unlike Angela or Eddie, she isn't on edge. She's scared, but she acts natural. However, over time, little cracks begin to open up and start to make you question who Maria is. When you enter the hospital to find Laura, she starts to feel bad. She claims it's a simple hangover, but it just isn't natural. She was acting fine up until this point, but you know what, well, whatever, we'll find her later. Right after this, we encounter that monster who is known as Pyramid Head again, solve some puzzles, and then we meet up with her later, or rather, she busts in on us. But it's time to leave the hospital. You found Laura, and presumably, she left. And upon leaving... After being chased by Pyramid Head and running into an elevator, Maria doesn't make it in time and gets murdered in front of James. Maria is dead. Maria seemed like the most human person we've met in the game, and that small comfort we could get from her presence is taken from us horrifically. For the next couple hours, we traverse this town alone in isolated horrors beyond our imagination and the next mental torment right around the corner. In this stretch, we explore a prison, which in my opinion is one of the scariest locations I've ever played in any video game, second only to the apartments from the beginning. And while exploring this area, we have to leap down some holes, some endless abysses, each having James jump from impossible heights and yet still surviving unscathed. Puzzles seem to become more devoid of logic, things begin to happen randomly, monsters can be heard from the darkness of the prison, but when we visit that sound, that's all it is. A sound. In this portion of the game, it feels like the town itself is toying with us and our sense of reality. And the more we explore this prison, this labyrinth, the more we begin to wonder, how is any of this possible? Is any of this possible? Is any of this really happening? We begin to question James's mental state and what is real. Or is this just a bad dream that we cannot wake up from? But this is James Sunderland. We've seen him from the beginning of this journey. We know that he is a normal, sane person.
James, honey, did something happen to you? After we got separated in that long hallway?
She's alive?
You said you took everything. But you forgot that videotape we made.
How does she know about a videotape? Did we even make one? Why is she speaking like she's Mary? No, better yet, why is she talking about things only Mary would know? And the more she speaks, the more she says, the more you begin to question everything. She's a real person. We felt her, we talked to her, she helped us in different situations. But we also never saw her speak to anyone other than us. She waited outside as we talked to Eddie. We didn't see her try to catch Laura. She got sick when we were close to finding Laura. When she died, the only person who witnessed it was James. Was us. She looks nearly identical to Mary. She knew things about James. Did we ever tell her our name? And you begin to question, what about this journey has been real? Have those monsters been real? Have those other people you met throughout the story been real? Has these impossible jumps further to the center of the earth been real? Is Maria real? Is there Maria? And if there really is, who or what is she? Is this whole game some sick joke our brains are playing on us? Or is this just a form of punishment that you know you deserve? This is where I am going to leave things off and where I am going to close this video. Okay, I know that's kind of a cliffhanger move on my end, however, I do want you to play this game and experience it for yourself. For this video, I'm leaving a lot of things unanswered for that reason. You do find out the fates of Eddie, Angela, and James, you do find out why Pyramid Head is stalking you, and you do find out who or what Maria is. However, instead of giving you a whole dissection of each character and their meanings, I wanted to paint a picture of how this game makes you question yourself and James's mental state, as well as the reality of what you have seen. The whole game makes you feel unsure whether you are sane, and it does that through its atmosphere and logic, making you feel like you're in a dream you can't wake up from. And think about how scary that would be. Think about how scary it would be to feel unsure about what is real and what isn't. Imagine if you constantly felt like you were stuck in between dream and reality. Imagine how terrifying it would be to not even know what is real anymore. Hello there, friendly strangers on the internet. Thank you so much for watching. I figured I would do a video like this since I finally finished Silent Hill 2, and so I do hope y'all enjoyed this thing. Funny thing actually, this Halloween season I played Signalis, which, dear lord, if I thought Silent Hill 2 made you feel like your grasp on reality was slipping, Signalis makes you question if reality is reality, and I'm still trying to decipher what I think even happened, but I know it was a great time from beginning to end. I finished Tears of the Kingdom. It was a beautiful thick boy. I've caught up on Attack on Titan. I'm not ready for it to end, and oh yeah, Persona 5 is still a vibe. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Take care of others, and I will see you next time.
No money, no politics, no... Oh God.